Shalom, shalom, everybody. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online. Where else? KosherTorah.com. This is one of our 2 weekly live classes for the public. I do these classes live on Facebook, and then I upload them later to YouTube and our Patreon page. And I hope that it is worthwhile for you guys to be listening into, and that you'll pass them, share them as need be, because I believe that the material that we discuss here is A, unique, and B, might be worthwhile your time and the time of others to be listening in. At least I hope so. So anyway, again, I want to welcome everybody for joining me. And tonight we are going to be learning from my book, Walking in the Fire. That's this one right here. Available on Amazon.com. And we're going to continue in a series of classes from my book, which are focused on explaining the practical applications of what we call in the Kabbalah, Kavanot. Meditative, focused projections. That's a good way to describe what a Kavanot is. And we're going to learn a technique that has been brought down by the Arizal, Chaim Vital, and the Rashash, which explains to us the Kavanot of the Mikvah. And this is actually a printout from page 299 of the book, which outlines all of the Kavanah. Really, it's a whole big long thing. You might think it's technical and detailed, but as you see as we go into it, it's not going to be as bad as you think. Most Kavanot look very complicated on the page, but once you really understand what it is, and the haircut, once you understand what it is, it's not so bad. Somebody in text is complimenting my shirt and my haircut. Well, the Rabbanit and I were out today running around doing things. I didn't have a chance to change. And that's why I'm wearing a blue shirt as opposed to my normal white shirt. As my hair, I always cut my hair. I mean, it's Rosh Chodesh. What do you expect? So, but thank you very much for the compliment anyway. Anyway, getting back to Kavanot. The Kavanah system that we find in the Arizal's teachings are not unique to the Arizal. They are not unique as much as they are elaborated in great detail later by Rabbi Shalom Sharabi. Shalom Sharabi, the Yemenite rabbi in Jerusalem, who established the Yeshivat Bet El in about 1700s, right around the same time as the establishment of the United States of America. He took the Kavanot system of Chaim Vital from the Shara Kavanot and the Sefer Kavanot and elaborated on it in great detail, and came out with what today is the foundation of the meditative system called the Kavanot of the Rashash. It's, well, in my day, the original Siddur, prayer book of the Rashash, was published in 3 volumes. Surprisingly, not by his Sephardic followers in Bet El, but by the Ashkenazi followers in a similar school called Shara Shamayim. And that is the old version that was around literally a century ago. That's the version that I was taught by my teacher, Rebbe Meir. Well, needless to say, in the last few decades, the popularity of the Rashash has exploded. And today, if you go on to Hebrew bookstores, SfarimCentral.com, amongst others, and look in their Kabbalah section, look at their Kabbalistic prayer books, especially under the name Shalom Sharabi, the Rashash, you'll see there are a dozen different versions. Rehovot HaNahar, in my opinion, has the best. You have the Tidhar version. Who else is coming out with them? You have the colored version that I've seen. I can't keep up with all the different versions of the Rashash Siddur that I have seen that have become so popular today. You hear my little dramatic pause here because you can see something's about to come. let me tell you something about real Kabbalah. This is one of my pet peeves, and as you know, is the focus of our KosherTorah School. Real Kabbalah is not academic philosophy. For those who think there's a proper doctrine for Kabbalah, and you have to believe the right way and learn the right way, and only my school teaches the right way. Anyone who's got that kind of a mentality, we show respect, but, we're not fundamentalists. Kabbalah is supposed to be the teachings of the world of Atzilut. Atzilut corresponds to the Sefirat Chokhmah, top of the right column, which is expansive and fluid. The mentality of these others is very rigid and limiting, which is the opposite mentality of what authentic Kabbalah is supposed to be. So, in all due respect to many of my peers who I have seen try to take the Otzrot Haim and the Etz Haim and the Sudo of the Rashash, and they elaborate on it in such a rationalistic, academic approach that, in my opinion, I think they're missing the mark. You look at the Kavanot of the Rashash, and again, in my opinion, when you understand it properly and correctly, and it takes a while to pick up. It's not something you can just pick up in a snap. It's kind of like Tai Chi, all right? You can learn the form and do all the movements, but if you want to get that energy flowing where you can actually project, it takes a little while to learn. That doesn't mean you ever stop. But now, getting to the point, many of my peers, they read the books, and they haven't had that, if you will, inside access that I was blessed to have from Rabbi Meir Levi, who taught me from Rav Sharabi. Now, let me get exactly to what I'm talking about. Before I studied with Rabbi Meir Levi, I studied for a number of years in Bet El. And this was, if you will, in the good old days when everybody got along. In my day, at Bet El, this is in the new city of Yerushalayim, where it was on Rehov Rashi, right around the corner from Yosef Matityahu. Going up the street, you get to Prat Yosef, where Hacham Yehuda Tzadka was, Rabbi Ben Zion Abba Shula was. Well, in my day, Rabbi Shalom Hadaya, the son of the Yaskil Ovde, was the Shamash, and I think the owner of Bet El on Rehov Rashi 24. And we had there, Shmuel Darzi was still alive, and he taught there. Rav Kadori, of course, was there. And everybody was there at one time. This is before everybody split off into their own schools, and you had all kinds of crazy stuff going on. This is when Rav Kadori, I'm sorry, I said Rav Sharabi. I didn't mean Rav Sharabi. That's a mistake. Rav Kadori was there, Yitzhak Kadori. Rav Sharabi, he was already in Machne Yehuda in Nahar Shalom. That's where Rabbi Meir learned. So this is even before I was with Rabbi Meir. So Rav Kadori, not Rav Sharabi, sorry for that. Rav Kaduri was with Rav Darzi and Rav Hadaya at Bet El. And this was before Rav Kaduri was this big fancy mikubal that, people would bow down and think that he was some special guy. Before the crazy people started, passing around the crazy stories that he said, yes, that the name of the Messiah is Yeshua. I remember when those stories proliferated around the internet. Rav Kaduri was sick. He was in the hospital. He had a breathing tube down his throat. And I remember we approached David, his son, and asked him, did your father really say that the name of the Messiah is Yeshua? David looked and he said, are you insane? He's got a breathing tube down his throat. He's not talking to anybody about anything. It's all nonsense. Yeah, unfortunately, nonsense proliferates. When it comes to understanding Kabbalah properly, let me share with you a very important point. I've shared this before, but I think it's important now. When I was learning Shara Kavanot, which is the Gates of Meditation, with Rav Shalom Hadaya, we had a Thursday morning class. And I remember when we were learning the Kavanot, the Kabbalistic meditations of Tefillin, the box that we wear on the arm. Well, in the Kabbalistic tradition, we wear two sets together, small ones. The Gemara itself says there's room on the head for two sets of tefillin. Go back to the not the Dead Sea Scrolls, but I think Qumran, not Qumran, what was that? Matzada. I think they actually found all tefillin, which is identical to those today. Curiously, if I'm not mistaken, one was Rashi, one was what we call Rabbeinu Tam. Well, we have these two sets of tefillin. And there was an argument throughout history which one is right and wrong, but the Kabbalah says you wear them both. Fine. Here's the curious thing. On the head, you would wear the Rashi, and I'm going to emphasize here, that Rashi tefillin is worn below, and the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin is worn above. Because Rashi is said to be Bina tefillin, and Rabbeinu Tam is Chochma tefillin. Fine. On the arm, it's the opposite, where in which the Rashi tefillin, which is the Bina, is worn on top, and the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, which is Chochma tefillin, is worn below. Bina above, Chochma below, Bina below, Chochma above. It's the opposite. And I turned to Rav Hadaya, and I asked him, why is it like that? Shouldn't it be the opposite way around? Shouldn't the mochin, as we call them, where Bina is below Chochma, shouldn't it be the same on the arm and the lower level as it is the higher level? He looks at me, smiles, and he goes like this. And I smile. I said, I got it. Thank you. That's the way you study and learn real Kabbalah. Did you understand what he said to me without having to say a word? No? Good. Sit on it for a while. You think about it. Stew a bit. Because if you're continuing to study your Kabbalah academically, that you think you have to sit and read the books and break your skull, you know something? That's Bina learning. That's the way we study Gemara. That is the way we study Shulchan Aruch. And it is obligatory that we study the Gemara and the Shulchan Aruch in this way. So, if you're going to study Daf Yomi of the Gemara online, great shurim now on YouTube and everywhere else. It's amazing. If you're going to study halacha, yeah, you gotta be very academic, very rational, very down to earth. Oh, I love it. That's it. We all rabbis love it. But that's not real Kabbalah. And if you're taking the study of Atzilutic Sod and bringing it into Bariatic Pshat, you are not studying Sod Kabbalah correctly. That's a big problem today amongst my peers, because I see things that are supposed to be simple that it becomes so complex that if I had hair in my head, I'd think, what are they doing? Rip my hair out. So, in my day, when I studied in Bethel, I studied the books. I did what I was told, and I studied as best as I could. Years later, when I first met Rabbi Meir Alav Shalom, I remember he tested me. He started asking me questions like, did you study this? I said, yes. Did you study that? Yes. And he started asking me questions deeper and deeper and deeper. And I knew from the questions he was asking, that was not from any books. I mean, I'm good. I know books. And I said, wait a second, Rabbi. Who are you? I didn't even know who he was yet. I thought he was this old guy who was just wasting my time. It reminded me of in the movie when Yoda meets Luke Skywalker. Luke doesn't know who this little guy is. He just thinks he's some obnoxious guy. He's the master. That's how I felt about Rebbe Meir. And Rebbe Meir started asking me questions deeper and deeper. And I turned to him and I said, who are you? You know, these questions are not any of the books. Where do you even have this knowledge to even ask these questions? He took my hand and he said to me words I will never forget. Beni, achshav she'ata lamadat ma ketub b'sfarim, ani lemed lecha ech lahavinam. Now that you've learned what's written in the books, I'm going to teach you how to understand it. And Rebbe Meir taught me one-on-one. That's it. When we were in the yeshiva at Heichel Pinchas, literally, the Tzarfati brothers threw everybody out. We had the whole yeshiva to ourselves. And we learned. And that is the way that Rebbe Meir taught me. The inner understanding of the Hitbodedut method, the meditation method, a lot of the original, I didn't know at the time, Abulafia teachings. And that is how he learned from Rav Sharabi, and I teach to you today. Many of my peers never had that inner access. They just read the books, and over again they learn them. That's all well and good for academia. But then Kabbalah becomes an academic acquisition. It's kind of like learning the form of Tai Chi, and you get the form down perfect. You know exactly how to twist the wrist, how to take the fingers, how to move everything, but you can't project any energy. You never get anything done. What good is it? When it comes to the Kavanot, for those of you who are familiar with Kavanot, we have long and involved meditative teachings behind each and every word. You can go on the KosherTorah.com, go into our search, and type in the word blessing, bracha. And I translated what's called the Mikvah bracha, which is the opening Kavanot of the words Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. And I showed how intense and in-depth it is. You know, we're doing this, 30 plus years now? I almost kind of like memorize. I know what to do. But something was always very curious to me. The Kavanot take a page and page and page in the books, in the Sidurim. And when you pray in a minyan in which they're doing the Kavanot, it takes 10 times longer than anywhere else. You will see, for example, on the word Baruch, you know the words, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. How long does it take to say that? Even if you're going to say it with a nice nigun, a nice tune, Baruch atah Amonai Elokeinu melech haolam. Please, no comments about how bad I sin. I already know. Thank you. No. When you're doing it in the Kabbalah, Baruch, because you're thinking about the Yichud of the Chabad and the Hagat Nahi, that of the names in the Hagat Nahi of Arich, and how it's Mamshich from Atik, I should say, to Arich, and how it's Mamshich down into Abba and into the Shvil Dekik, and goes through all these details. You're going, what on earth are you talking about? Well, like I said, you got to get into the details to see. How long should that take? I remember when we had our Kavanot Minyan at Bet El, 10-minute Ma'ariv could take 40 minutes. Right? Everybody who's ever been in a Kavanot of the Rashash Minyan, you know, you roll your eyes with the time. Something's always bothered me, like I said. It said about Rabbi Yosef Chaim, the famous Ben Ish Chai of Baghdad, who was master of the Rashash Arizal system, master Sephardi Kabbalist of the 19th century. And it says that when he prayed like a Tinok Ben Yomo. Tinok Ben Yomo means like a day-old baby. How does a day-old baby pray? Well, let's not get so technical. It means that he prayed simply. So when the Ben Ish Chai was doing his Kavanot, he would say, Baruch atah Amonai Elokeinu, etc. And it sounds normal. What happened to all the Kavanot? How does he do it so fast? Rabbi Meir told me this. Because when you're looking at the Kavanot, so you got this whole page of Kavanot, you say, oh, this is so technical. Very soon I'm going into the introduction. It's not really that technical. I'll be able to explain this to you more or less bal peh, as we say, by heart, because it's simple when you look at it right. When you look at a page of the Kavanot, go into Walking in the Fire. I think to this day, if I'm not correct, please, somebody in text, correct me. I took the entire Kavanot, the meditative pyramid structure of the morning service Shaharit, from the Siddur, it's called Ben Yahu Ben Yehoyada, which is a Kitzur Rashash. I translated the whole thing into English and I teach you how to use it. Why? Because practically speaking, isn't that what it's all about? This is not academic bina. This is practical, applicable chokhmah. That's what it's all about. That's what our KosherTorah School is all about. So anyway, I get people to understand these things. So if you look at the pages of the Siddur, you'll see it's all this complicated stuff. And people sit there and they look at all these names. They think they have to like read stuff. Very frustrating. When was the last time you actually read a photograph? Read a painting? You don't. You don't go looking at a picture and say, I'm going to look at this picture pixel by pixel. I'm going to look at this painting color by color. Like the old saying, then you don't get to see the forest through the trees. It's the same thing when you come to understand the Kavanot. You see all the Kavanot on the page. When you have an understanding, it's a roadmap. And you're focused on the ultimate essence, which is the ultimate unknowable source called the Order Ein Sof. And you recognize that all you're doing is channeling the Ein Sof, like energy, through the Sefirot, through the channels, to project where it needs to go. Everything about Kavanot is projecting where the energy goes. You are a conduit for the flow of energy. The divine energy flows through you. You become the vessel, the vehicle. What do we call that vessel and vehicle in Hebrew again? Yes, of course, I know I'm playing here. Oh, we call it a Merkava, a chariot. You become the chariot. You become the Merkava. So the real secret of Ma'aseh Merkava isn't that you have this great supervision like Ezekiel did. Rather, you become the conduit of the energy like Ezekiel was. This is real Ma'aseh Merkava. And even when you read Rambam, Guide to the Perplexed, the More Nebuchim, people say, oh, it's a totally different system. Let me tell you about that totally different system. He understood. He puts it in a completely different set of terms and language to describe it, but he got the gist of it, as did the Ben Ish Chai. And unfortunately, not like many of my peers, who all they do is turn Kabbalah into an academic study. I forgot who it was in the scholarly world. It might have been Gershom Sholem, who divided Kabbalah into three schools: the philosophical school, the prophetic school, and the magical school. And everybody who's the scholarly world says, yeah, well, the prophetic school and the magical school, they're kind of like one and the same because they overlap all the time. And that's true. But the academic school, the philosophical school, which is the popular school today, in my opinion, and I don't mean, God forbid, in any ways to be derogatory, but in my opinion, the Kabbalah Iyunit, the philosophical school, is kind of like, in my opinion, again, it's only my opinion, so don't get upset with me, a bait and switch. Do you ever see like an advertisement? They say, come into our store. We have whatever it is, the big super item for sale at rock bottom price. And of course, you walk in there because you're thinking, again, you get something else. That's how I look at academic Kabbalah. People come to the study of Kabbalah today thinking, wow, I'm going to have this really super transformational experience. And all they end up with is metaphysical philosophy, almost like a Jewish theosophy, not like the theosophy of that anti-Semite Blavatsky lady. Forget her. She was, never mind. But the point is, real Kabbalah is not this academic pursuit of Bina. It is the intuitive psychic flow and movement. All right? I see a buddy of mine just came in here, and I'm going to talk to him because him and I have had this conversation literally for years and years. He's an accountant. He's a brilliant guy. Very smart. But because he's a very accountant, he's into numbers. Numbers is, again, very rigid. It's very Bina. And they try to break you of that rigidity to flow. It's a very hard transition. This is not just a Kabbalistic problem. It's also a psychological problem. Carl Jung addressed the same exact problem with people. How do we understand? And the answer is you just got to go with the flow. So now, I've given you an understanding of going with the flow. Now, I want to focus in the time we have left, the Kavanot of the Mikvah. I don't need to cover every single detail in this class because it's already in the book. You're going to read the book. You're going to have it in front of you. I'm giving you here the material that the book doesn't have, and I'm summing it up for you so that with this and complement with the book, you're actually going to be able to do something. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Doing? Like it says in good old Pirkei Avot, Lo ha-midrash ha-ikar, ela ha-ma'aseh. It's not the learning that counts, it's the doing. Do. We're in the world of asiyah, making, doing, action. So we've got to do the right thing. If we want to bring Mashiach, Geula, redemption, then we got to bring down the fluidity. So this is how it works. The mikveh, what exactly is a mikveh? It's a puddle of water. No. Understand, like what Kavanot teach, everything in the universe is energy. You want a visual of that? Think of like Neo when he wakes up in the Matrix and he sees, all the computer codes, everything. That's the reality of the universe. It's not a computer code, but it's certainly a big code out there. Everything is energy. The physical human body is energy. The world around us is energy. Our energetic field of our physical body and what we call our halukah d'Rabbanan or astral body is subject to influence, making it more pure or contaminated, higher, lower frequency, whatever, based upon all the interactions around us at all times. Like electricity, sometimes you need to be grounded. How do you ground? Well, what is the ground? Well, obviously, in our Kabbalah tradition, we understand that to be Malchut, the Sefirat Malchut. But the Sefirat Malchut is the earth. How do I ground into the earth? I can take the plug of my electricity, plug it in to the socket, connects. How do I plug myself in? Energy equals energy. Water is the blood of the earth. Actually, I have seen programs on television and science. I think it was like Through the Wormhole with Morgan Freeman, if I'm not mistaken, where they actually asked the question, is the oceans alive? Because the oceans actually act like a living being. Even Rambam writes in the Yesodei Torah, Foundations of the Laws, that the earth itself is alive, sentient, self-aware, and the blood that flows in the earth, like the blood in our body, is the water, the oceans. It has the life force energy of the earth. You can call that life force energy chi, prana, orgone, kundalini. We call it nefesh. And when our physical or astral sense gets imbalanced through life, we need to ground. And that's why we physically go into what's called ma'im chayim, living waters. What's living waters? Living waters means water that's movement, moving, rivers, anything that has movement and flow, because it's the fluidity. Remember we said rigidity is din? No, that's not good. Fluidity, that's the right column. That's good. So living waters means that which is exposed to nature, connected to nature, and the like. This water is energized. As such, that water has the ability to re-energize the physical and astral halukah d'Rabbanan bodies. And that is why, for example, in Torah law, a menstrual woman purifies herself in the body of living water. I'm not going to get into all the laws of Nida, but I will get into this. When a woman is in her monthly cycle, as she very well knows, her body is purifying itself. All the life is going out, the blood's going out, and she needs to be regrounded to the earth. And that is what the mikvah does for the woman's physical and astral body. It reconnects it, reestablishes it to its natural state. And that is why the mikveh for the woman is very important. Now, let's walk on the wild side for just 2 minutes. A married woman goes to the mikveh, of course, every month with her cycle. Controversy has arisen now because many women who are not married also want to take benefit of a mikveh. And yes, you can go to a lake or a river or even the ocean. Now, remember, the water must connect to your body. Doesn't mean that you can't wear a bathing suit or some garment as long as the water gets through you is fine. Even though the halakha requires in the mikveh for purification for family purity laws, naked in the mikveh, not going to get into those details right now. But if a woman is not married and she goes to the mikveh, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, rabbis today object to this very strongly for reasons of promiscuity. We rabbis very well know if a woman is not a virgin and she cleanses herself in her monthly cycle and she's in a monogamous relationship with a male partner who is not her husband, they call this a concubine. And unfortunately, and it is unfortunate, some people choose this type of relationship, which, in all due respect, cheapens marriage. It tends to justify, cheating and the like. I consider it a horrible and a disgusting practice. Many of my fellow rabbis have condemned this. And being that some people still consider this to be a valid, approach, I have to come out publicly and make a statement against it. But to prevent this type of immorality, which, look, we got real problems in the world today. In our religious world, even adultery runs rampant. We all know this. This is disgusting, evil stuff. Being sexually balanced is a very, very important and sacred thing. So this is why the rabbis today, in general, don't want women who are not married going to the mikveh. Many will prohibit them. But ladies, if you are not married, all right, please don't use a mikveh as an excuse to be promiscuous. That's what we call tarte de sarte. It's contradictory. Don't do that. But that doesn't mean you still cannot go to the mikveh. In my opinion, yes, you can. And in my opinion, yes, you should. With that being said, men, these Kavanot here, written for the men. Because when a man's energy gets imbalanced, how about when you get angry? How about when you do any kind of energetic issue in which it creates an imbalance in one's astral body? This is where the grounding in the mikveh needs to be, again, accomplished. It brings purity to the physical body, and it brings purity back again, balance, alignment to the astral body. Now, how is this accomplished? Let's explain the mikveh. There are 13, according to this tradition, you dunk under the water 13 times. Now, in my tradition, we will actually go under the water and get into the prophetic ball position and stay there underwater, without breathing. Be careful when you do that. People might not see you, they step on you. It actually happened to me once in the mikvah. But all right, the 13 times you're going up and down, up and down. Everything, remember, is a mental projection of the focus of energy without. When we are reconnecting, rebalancing with the energy we said, remember, is the Ein Sof, the Shefa, the power that comes down, we're grounding with the Malchut. Well, you have the great levels. And in our tradition, we represent the levels in 3 different forms. Those 3 are represented by the names of Adonai, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, Havaya, and Ehyeh. You could say that they correspond to Malchut and Tiferet or Binah. You could say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. recognize the three names like this. We have the essence of what we know and understand as God, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, the higher reality of our experience. We don't experience God in that higher reality. We experience God in the physical, mundane world, represented by the name Adonai. So, you will look at the prayer books. I just taught a mini lesson on this. It's available on Facebook and YouTube today about the meaning of the word Amen, where in which you have the union of the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke and Adonai. Adonai is in Malchut. It is how we represent and express God in this physical world, through the laws of nature, through the powers that be in the physical. But we recognize that there's the higher expression of God, concealed for the most part, because we are in exile, represented by the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. But the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke itself is still a construct. Like God spoke to Moses, no man can see my face and live. But he showed him in, quote, the symbolic backside. Well, in the Kabbalah, that was called the small face of God, Ze'er Anpin, Zah. And it said that that is the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke. But above that, there is a higher expression of God, which even the human mind can't experience, which again the Bible refers to as the face of God. That, if you remember, was revealed to Moses, the burning bush. Remember Moses says, God, all right, you want me to go and speak to your children of Israel. Cool, great. Who should I say sent me? What's your name? And God says, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. I will be who and what I will be. Tell him Yud-Ke Vav-Ke sent you. Two different names. Because the nature of God is quantum. Like the whole concept of what we call Schrodinger's cat, where unless you observe something, you just don't know how things are. God in his ultimate essence, beyond what any mind can understand, is in such a fluid state that it's everything. It will be what it will be. That brings us up the ladder to the source, which is the ultimate nothing. So when we are focusing on grounding ourselves in the mikveh, we are trying to bring down that fluidity through the waters, which itself is fluid and alive. And that fluid livingness of water, mayim, mem yud mem, right? Gematria 90, add 1 for the kolel, 91, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke, Adonai. Oh, what a surprise. Gematria, amen. There you go. Secret of water. Very, very important. When we're in the mikveh, the fundamental concept is, God, cleanse my body and soul, realign and balance and harmony with the earth. Because that's what this is all about. Notice they didn't say with the universe. The universe is above. The earth is below. We're grounding the body. That's what Ma'im is all about. For the record, again, let's digress for just 2 seconds. There's a special kind of water. Not Ma'im Chaim, but a special kind of Ma'im Chaim. And it comes from a special source called the Be'er Shel Miriam. Miriam's well. What is Miriam's well? Well, there's a story that's told about Rabbi Chaim Vital and the Ariel, that once they went out in a boat in the middle of the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee, I think they call that. And the Ariel takes some water, scoops it, and gives it to Chaim Vital and says, this is the water of the Well of Miriam. And I've known people like breaking their neck trying to figure there's some place in the middle of the Kinneret, which is the Well of Miriam. Oh, goodness gracious. Frustrating that people don't understand metaphor when they see it, right? Thinking everything is literal. The water that the Ariel gave Chaim Vital, which opened his mind, was energized with, I guess, what the Chinese call qi. No, it didn't have any herbs in it. Didn't have any hallucinogenic drugs in it. The Ariel didn't have an ancient form of LSD that he put in. Forget all that nonsense. It was energized. The Orientals, they understand this. Talk to Tibetan Buddhists. You talk to people who know TCM, traditional Chinese men, they understand all this, talk about energized stuff. This is what they do. When we talk in our tradition about a baracha, a blessing, you go to the Rebbe for a blessing. He just doesn't wish you good wishes. Hey, good luck. No. He's passing on to you actual energy. This is why the Rebbe actually puts his hand on you, because it's a transfer of energy. Or he actually projects the energy into some food or drink, which you then have. I'll tell you. Oh, I hope that we're still connected here. All right, I just had a little blank for a second. But okay, getting back to the point. It makes me think that maybe I'm revealing something that I shouldn't. I never pay attention to that. Anytime that I'm going to reveal something really deep and secret and something weird happens to try to stop me, makes me more determined to reveal it. So if there's anybody out there, share with you a secret. I had another teacher other than Rabbi Meir, a Moroccan teacher who taught me a lot of what we call Kabbalah Ma'aseh stuff. And when I went to his house and I was sitting by him and he was teaching me some of this Kabbalistic magic stuff, he was brewing a pot of tea and he was going to pour me a cup of tea. And he was sitting there teaching me, this Kabbalistic stuff with this little, makel, what we call like a cane, because he was old. And he wanted to pour me a cup of tea. And I said, Lo todani lo shotete. I said, no thanks, I don't drink tea. He looked at me, burning eyes, took that his staff, he beat me with it. How dare you don't accept my tea? I said, I'm sorry. Give me the tea, I'll take 2 cups. He was putting the blessing into the tea. And in my stupidity, I thought I was rejecting it. Taught me a lesson. Makot. Very important. All right? Eli knows every Shabbat we do Kiddush and we don't have children. I give her a bracha. And she knows I always put my hand up at, other than, times it's prohibited, right on the head. Bam! I give her the bracha and everything else because it's a projection of energy. And there's a symbiosis there. But okay, enough said. 13 times we go to the mikveh to knit together the 3 names representing the 3 levels of consciousness: Adonai, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and Ehyeh. And rather than thinking this is such a complex thing, I have here, again, this is page 299 in Walking in the Fire. You can read it in the book. I have it all translated. It says here, and I'm going to quote to you from the Siddur Rashash. Yitbol Yag Tevilot. You dunk 13 times. Michaven b'shlosh hashamot, and you focus on the 3 names: Ehyeh, Havaya, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Adonai. Shenirmezu b'milat kapai. All right, which is, I'm not going to get into the details. You go look at it. And he brings down here the knitting together. Here, you can see the knitting together right there. Aleph, Yud, Aleph, Hey, Hey, Dalet, Yud, Vav, Nun, Hey, Hey, Yud. All right? The first letter of each of those 4 is Aleph, then Hey, Yud, and Hey. That's Ehyeh. The middle letter is the Yud, then the Hey, then the Vav, and the Hey. The middle letters spell out Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And the last letters of each of the 4 is Aleph, and then Dalet, Nun, and Yud. Adonai. That's called a shiluv, or knitting together of the names. This actually is considered the 12-letter name of God. And there's a whole bunch of secrets and Kabbalistic powers with the vowels and all that that's revealed in all kinds of books and stuff. And if you go into my Shaviti for protection, that's the one with the swords, I have the name there with the vowels and stuff like that. So those of you who want a Shaviti protection as a projection of power in your place, well, order the Shaviti. This is what you do. Tevila Rishona, the first mikvah. יכוון לעלות עוד ה' דאדוני, שהיא אות שלישית דבית ראשון, אל אות י' דהוויה, שהיא למעלה ממנה. In the first dunk, contemplate that letter Aleph of Adonai. This is that 3rd letter in the first group. There's the group. There's the letter Adonai, Aleph of Adonai. You're going to take this letter here and focus on it rising up to the yud next to it. What am I doing? Letters going up and down. You're thinking, remember, you have 4 different levels. The 4 different levels are the 4 worlds: Asiya, Yetzirah, Beria, Atzilut. The physical, the emotional, the intellectual, and the psychical, the spiritual. Well, you have at each of these levels within themselves. We call those levels of soul, nefesh, ruach, neshama. So in the physical, you have 3 different levels. You have the mundane physical, the deeper physical, and the ultimate physical. At the emotional, the mundane, the deeper, and the ultimate. Same thing. So each of these levels are represented simply by a letter of the name. Rather than focus on the letters and visualizing the letters, just remember the concept. If you remember the concept, then the letters take secondary place. When you're focusing on the letters themselves, you're being academic and rational. When you're focusing on the essence, then the shape of the letter is even more fluid. Then you're getting to the real deal, just like the Ben Ish Hai. Okay? So, that's the first. Second, the letter Yud goes with the letter Aleph of the Adonai. You're trying to elevate the 2 of them to the level of the Ekiye. All right? And then the third, you're now going to bring down the letter Aleph of the Ekiye to the letters of Yud and the Hey. So, first 3, 1 level goes up, 2nd level goes up, 3rd comes down. Following that, Tevilah 4, 5, and 6, level goes up, 3rd goes down. So you're going up 1, 2, down 1. 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 There you go. That's Kavanot in the Mikvah. Really. It's up and down. Energy is in a movement of flow. Rather than get so technical, be more fluid. Let's read. The 4th, you're going to focus on the letter Dalet of Adonai, which is, again, it's the Ota Shlishit. It's the 3rd letter in the 2nd grouping. And you're going to raise it to the letter Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which, again, is above it. That's all. Focusing, 1 going up. The 5th level, the 5th Tevilah, the 5th dunk. The letter Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei with the letter Dalet is now rising up to its source in the Hey, which is Ehiye. And then in the 6th, you focus on the letter Hey of Ehiye, and it is now bringing down its energy into the Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei, into the Dalet of Adonai. 2 go up, and 1 goes down. And you're doing this as you're going up and down in the water. You're moving in the water. Yeah, you're splashing. Why? Because the splashing vibrates, it creates the energy. It actually gives life force. This is why, in order to do a mikvah properly, you have to be in a natural body of water. If you don't have a natural body of water, well, a swimming pool doesn't do it because it's disconnected. It's like in concrete and stuff. And you really can't use it so much as a mikvah. Technically, men can use it, even though women, because men don't have a biblical obligation to go to the mikveh. Women do. So the women have to be strict and stay with the real essence of earth energies, whereas the men, it's just a tradition. What happens then if and when you do not have a mikveh? Well, even the Ben Ish Hai will teach there's something called Tesha Kabin, 9 cabs of water. I think it's about 20 gallons of water or so. Where would you have like a shower? or in which the water, even though it's coming through pipelines, it's not really a kosher mikvah, it's still better than nothing. So the Ben Ish Chai writes that on Erev Shabbat, it is the tradition before the Sabbath for men to go to the mikveh. If you don't have a mikveh, you don't have a lake, you can take a shower. And in the shower, you can perform the same exact meditation, visualizing in your mind the up and down flow of energy. Remember, what is the whole purpose of this? Answer, the connection. You are taking the lower levels of consciousness represented by the energy and raising them up to their source. Your human consciousness represented by Adonai. It's raising up to its source, the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then raising up beyond that to a place unknown, Ehyeh. You have physical consciousness. You do it at the physical level. Those are the first. The emotional level, that's the second. The intellectual level, that's the third. And then at the psychic intuitive, that's the fourth. That's why we have 4 blocks of 3. Okay? These are simple concepts. Just listen to the class again, read the material in the book, and you're going to pick it up. You don't need to get technical. You'll notice how much time I'm actually spending on the page. You can read the page, but the focus is not what's on the page. It's what's inside you. What's on the page are just, let me rephrase, it's a picture. Understand what the picture is, and that's it. In the movement is the flow of the energy. So, if you're in an actual mikvah, you're going up and down in the waters, causing the splashing, causing the energy to flow. The first 3 levels, you're focusing on elevating physical consciousness. The second 3, you're focusing on elevating emotional consciousness. The third 3, you're focusing on elevating intellectual consciousness. And finally, the fourth of the 3, you're elevating psychic intuitive consciousness. That's all. Level where I'm at, higher level where I can get to the ultimate source of things, from that ultimate source, back down, up and down, ebb and flow. That's the movement. And then we have one last one, 13. Because the 13th, we then have the whole name of the 12 letters. We do it all at once. What's that for? Because it corresponds to what's called the Yag Tikkun Dikna, or if you will, the 13 attributes of divine mercy. If you remember, after the sin of the golden calf, God revealed his mercy. He says, so we count these and enumerate them to be 13 in number. 13, numerical value, of course, is echad, which means unity. So, by taking the physical, the emotional, the mental, the psychic, from the present level to our source, to above our source, and bringing it all back down again. Yeah, there's your 12 right there. Bring it all together into a singularity. That is the mercy of God. That is the secret of what we call the Yag Tikkun Dikna. Yag Tikkun Dikna means 13 attributes of the beard. When we study in Zoharic literature, it refers to the symbolic beard. We'll discuss this for just 2 minutes. As having 13 places. Kel, Rachum, Hanun, Erechapam, Rab Hesed, Ve'emet, No Tzer Hesed, La'alafim, No Se'avon, Lepesh, V'chata, V'naqeh. Well of Miriam and I used to do this. This is when I used to have a long beard. All right, what are these 13 attributes of the beard? Well, people think that according to the Zohar, being that the symbolic face of God has a long beard, that people today are supposed to be like God, so they have a long beard which they never ever cut and trim. I think it's rather unkempt. Frankly, if ever you're in martial arts or combat, have a long beard. Devastating. When I taught my son how to fight, the first thing he always used to do was grab my beard. Can't grab my beard anymore. Ha ha ha. So, for those who think having a long beard has Kabbalistic significance, guys, it's only a symbolic metaphor. All right, God doesn't have a beard. It's all symbolism. But what does the beard represent? Well, we said it represents the 13 attributes of mercy. Well, why? How? What's the symbol? I don't get it. Believe it or not, it's rather simple. The head is called the crown. Right up here, above the head, that's where the crown sits, and the crown is said to be the complete mercy. What is mercy? Giving. What is the ultimate essence, the ultimate definition of the divine? It gives to everything in existence. So it's this giving which we call mercy. Well, how does the, in quote, mercy get down to us? Using the symbolism, only symbolism, of the body. We say that it passes down the hair of the head and flows down the beard to the heart. Heart, right? So symbolically speaking, the beard flows down to the heart, meaning that the power of the grace, the givingness of God comes down off the head, off the long flowing hair, and through the face of God, which remember is concealed from us, down a symbolic passageway to the heart, which is Zerampin, which we refer to as the face of God that we can understand. So the beard is a symbolic representation of how the divine powers come down to us. So essentially, the beard represents the flow of the energy. So that is why we symbolically have, again, when God speaks of his mercy, right, from Exodus there, 13 attributes. 13 is the symbolic of one, chad, unity, which again is the source of that crown above. So this is the symbolism of the hair and the beard. And just for the record, the symbolism shows that the hair is long. But we today don't have long hair, because we say that man below is like mirror reflection of above. Mirror reflection is mercy, so man below is din, severity. So as the hair in the world above is mercy, hair on the man below is severity. That's why we don't have long hair, ponytails, and the like in Kabbalistic tradition, unless you're a Nazir corresponding to the Keter, but how many people are like that? So that's why in the Kabbalah, they always remove the hair of the head, with the exception of the place of the Malchut of the head, which are considered the side locks, which are the peyot. That's why you'll see people have little peyot. Now, a peya is just hair long enough that it can come off the skull. So even though I have short hair, I still have peyot. Very short, but they fulfill the requirement of the law. Some people, again, want to be fundamentalist and extreme, so they say, I want my malchuts to be long, so they grow the long peyot. Whatever. Hey, that's what you're into. They also grow long beards because they think that's somehow Kabbalistic. Whatever. But okay. Those are the secrets of the beard and the hair and peyot and all the rest. Let's get grounded. Read the chapter on the Kavanot to the Mikvah. I include in the book other things there, but you don't have to pay attention to them. Just focus on the simple. Stay simple. Kavanot do not have to be difficult. They can be easy if you allow them to be. Learn to feel the energy as opposed to looking at it from the outside. I give this example all the time again from a martial arts perspective, because anyone who has experience with the martial arts know you can learn how to punch, you can learn how to block, but then there's a subtle nuance of movement and flow, which is the inner essence. It's exactly the same with Kabbalah. I learned this years and years ago with Rebbe Meir. God bless him for accepting me, receiving me as his student. And you guys now are in that chain of connection with me. So, I hope I've given you enough to contemplate, to think about. I know you want all the rituals and all that. I'm trying to get you on the inside, not on the outside. I'm trying to connect to you from the inside, not the outside. So review the system in the book. It's again, section 2, chapter 11, page 299, Walking in the Fire. You can always get the book, Amazon.com. All my other classes available for you. Go check out my course page. The prophetic meditation stuff is all there for you. Other basic stuff, Kavanot stuff, Kitvei Ari, it's all there. I think I have the biggest selection of the Torah of the Ari in English available. It's all available for you. Click of a button. All you got to do is get it. So the rest is up to you. Anyway, the Shaviti that has this name here with the vowels available for you. But guys, I can't do the work for you. You know, like the old saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Same thing. I can give you the Kabbalah, but if you're going to just look at it academic, like it's, intellectual entertainment, and then when we're done, you just change the channel. Okay, then I guess I haven't accomplished my task. It has to be inside you to transform you, to make you completely different. When you experience the reality of the mikveh and its transformational power within you, you will have drank the water of the Well of Miriam. Contemplate this. And in the wise words of the great sage Hillel, Zilgamar, go now and do it. Thank you again all for joining me. I'm your host, Ariel Tzadok from the KosherTorah School, KosherTorah.com. Check us out online. Looking forward to seeing you in our next class.